Zip-dee-doo-dah, zip-dee-day, my oh my what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine, shining away and another smash TV to brighten up the way. I hope you're ready for another 10 smashing recommendations. Willy's Wonderland features Nicolas Cage as a silent man who gets stuck in a small town and is required to clean up an old kids' restaurant in order to get out. The caveat: the restaurant is haunted by the puppets that once entertained, and then killed, its customers. The popularity of the game Five Nights at Freddy's undoubtedly had something to do with the creation of this movie, and the mere fact that this is pretty much a rip-off doesn't deter from the enjoyment of this movie. It's campy, it's gory and it's over the top. Nicolas Cage gives yet another unique performance and proves that even without doing his mostly typical extravagant way of acting, he can deliver something that is special. Willy's Wonderland is a fun movie and a definite must-see for fans of Five Nights, Nicolas Cage and fun campy movies. Smash that. A bunch of teens enter an abandoned convent where a bunch of Satanists are trying to sacrifice a virgin. Little do any of them know that there are real demons being unleashed in the convent that will wreak havoc and terror on all involved. The Convent is a 2000 movie by fairly unknown director Mike Mendes, who made one of my favorite movies called Killers a couple of years early. He has a distinct style and this movie oozes his style even if you only saw one movie from him. The plot is cliché as hell and nothing new happens in this movie, but Mike Mendes adds a weird, literally fluorescent note to the plot that turns this movie into something to behold. The movie feels like a laser shoot in the early 2000s with gore and violence and a well-known horror face that pops up in the middle of the movie. The Convent is a cult movie and best viewed for what it is, with a bunch of friends during a movie marathon with plenty of pizza and soda. Check that. Hitcher in the Dark follows a disturbed young man who kidnaps Josie Bissett of Melrose Place fame before she decided to cut off her hair. The movie is pretty straightforward, following the perpetrator from a couple of previous visits to the actual kidnapping of Bissett's character. It has a certain campy feel, but most of the acting is good enough that it steps a level above such movies. There isn't much to say about the story and most of the elements have been seen in other movies, but the 80s vibe and Ray-Bans make up for it. Hitcher in the Dark is an enjoyable movie that will certainly go along with some popcorn and beers. Check that. Mortal Kombat 2021 brings the Mortal Kombat franchise to the screen once again, delivering a movie that not only fails to impress but also showed most of his cards in the trailer that was released months ago. Mortal Kombat brings forth the weird choice of an unknown character and MMA fighter who gets dragged into the world of Mortal Kombat by having a birthmark. We meet several characters from previous films, but as this is, yet again, a reboot, we are treated to differing storylines and backgrounds. The main character is a disinteresting plank of wood and several other characters do not have the acting chops to keep this movie entertaining. The only bright light in this movie is the inclusion of Kano, who delivers a sort of puff view of the viewer. Unfortunately, even this character gets the soul sucked out of him by the half of the film, leaving us with a soulless shell of the movie. On top of all this, they also felt the need to Hollywoodify some characters, which of course is a big no-no for fans. MK 2021 is a disappointing movie that doesn't get above the camp of the 1995 movie or the soul that was in the web series in the early 2000s. Drop that. They Call Me Bruce is a hilarious comedy about a Korean man who often gets mistaken to be Bruce Lee, who gets tasked to bring Chinese flour, aka cocaine, to someone in the States. Needless to say, things go wrong and hilarity will ensue when the clumsy Bruce needs to deliver as they test his skills while performing the job. Bruce, completely oblivious of what he got involved in, manages to insult almost every single thing in this movie, and it is glorious. The first half of the movie had me chuckle a lot more than the second half, but overall this movie is one of those rare gems that they wouldn't make any more in this day and age. Not as politically incorrect as Blazing Saddles, of course, but They Call Me Bruce ranks high among these risky comedies in my book. Smash that. Real Genius is an atypical 80s school comedy in the same vein of Revenge of the Nerds and Weird Science. Unlike these other movies, however, Real Genius fails to live up to the comedic genius and sexiness of its competition. Real Genius features Val Kilmer as quirky so-called cool nerd who was tasked in making a laser but failed to find the solution for it. In comes his 15-year-old genius that's going to help him and is introduces to that wacky world of American college with lots of parties, lots of shenanigans and, in this case, not a lot of sex. Real Genius is an okay movie and it offers some enjoyment, but in comparison to Weird Science and Revenge of the Nerds is a weak derivative. Check it out if you already saw the others, cause regardless this one is a classic. Check that. What do you do if you're the son of the master of horror and weird? You try to walk in your father's shoes and try to live up to him. Enrolls Brandon Cronenberg with his first feature film about a woman who possesses other people in order to assassinate the targets she was asked to eliminate. Murder up close but from a distance, framing mostly innocent people and wrestling with the consequences when you get home to your family. It's not quite clear why she goes on the missions, but as you might expect, something goes wrong in the second assignment we see her get. What follows is a tense and sometimes confusing stylistic film that brings forth a sense of unease throughout the movie, captures your attention and holds it, only to shatter you moments later with another shocking scene. The inclusion of a certain actor will spoil part of the movie, but this is something that is easily ignored. This movie isn't for the faint of heart and it will leave you a wee bit empty inside at the moment the credits roll. Luckily, or unlucky, the feeling doesn't linger too long. Overall a good first try for the son of Cronenberg, and I'm sure his following movies will improve. Whether he'll live up to his father's legacy, however, is something completely different. Smash that. Demons is an Italian horror movie about a couple of people getting trapped in a cinema after watching a movie about demons possessing a bunch of crooks. Quickly it's revealed that actual demons have a similar plan and slowly are taking over the unfortunate cinema goers. Demons is a typical Italian schlock horror movie reminiscent of such greats as Lucio Fulci and 30. It has gooey gore and practical effects. The demons look more like zombies in my opinion, and it is, overall, fairly cliché, but the movie does surprise near the end as the tight, almost claustrophobic, nature of what is happening goes to a much larger scale. Demons isn't The Exorcist and everything you would expect from an Italian horror movie. It's a good watch and part of the greats. Check that. The culmination of the previous Godzilla movie and King Kong Skull Island brings us Godzilla vs. Kong, where our favorite giant monsters duke it out in a final fight for supremacy. The story features some of the characters from those movies to bring a little bit more plot to it all. Unfortunately, this is where the movie fails the most. As usual, we follow the cowardly white man and the deaf girl who is the key to everything. We witness Millie Brown's character and her sidekicks venture into highly classified areas as easily as walking into a 7-Eleven. There is a surprise appearance that leads up to this, but I was waiting for these scenes to be over so we could get to what this movie is all about. Mainly Godzilla fighting King Kong, and oh man, when they do it's glorious. And unlike Godzilla 2014, the camera does not cut away. The 8-year-old next to me was cheering and jumping up and down as Kong punched Godzilla. He was laughing with sheer enjoyment when Godzilla did his nuclear breath, and so was I. There might be a little bit too much neon in this movie, and there's plenty that throws you out of the verisimilitude with the sheer amount of destruction there is. But Godzilla vs. King Kong delivers mostly where previous Western monster movies have failed. If they had cut down on the Millie Brown and deaf girl key to everything plots, it would have been a lot better, but as it stands, Godzilla vs. King Kong is a very enjoyable giant monster movie that delivers enough action and fighting to make you stand up cheering and roar to the skies. Check that. The overnight success of Sharknado brought a new life to low-budget sci-fi movies with preposterous monsters reaping terror and mayhem on mostly unsuspecting and fairly brain-deficit people. Lavalantula is one of the many movies of this ilk, combining the most insane things with dangerous animals. In Lavalantula's case, lava tarantulas. In Lavalantula we follow most of the cast of Police Academy as they try to survive while the city burns and melts and gets overrun by tarantulas. The effects are cheap, the acting is cheesy, the plot is ridiculous, the comedy hit and miss. Lavalantula can be enjoyable to people who enjoyed the insanity that was Sharknado, and definitely a better movie than other sci-fi movies like Piranhaconda and others who take themselves too seriously. Check that.